Alright guys, the time is now for a showdown between the Vampire Coast, who's going to be led by the old boy Luther Harkin, and the Lizardmen, who are going to be led by an Orange Sherbet Slan. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we're going to be going with the good old double bloated corpse. Now the build for the most part is pretty close to my guide build against the dinos, or I actually have two against the dinos. However, in this match, I decided to cut one of the rotting Prometheans. I normally run two, which are very good against Saurus and the big dinosaurs. They have good AP, they can hold things in place and really allow your guns to do the the heavy lifting. However, in this match, I decided to have a little bit of fun and bring two bloated corpses. So we're not going with the dreaded triple bloated corpse build. I think that would be a little bit too much for any player on ladder to handle. So we decided to go here with the double bloated corpse. We're going to be trying to use them on Temple Guard, and I think I might actually try and have a little bit of fun and chase down some skinks and see how it goes. But yeah, we got these thick boys here. They're definitely ready to have some fun. But aside from that, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the build here. Up in the skies, we do have Luther Harkin. Luther Harkin is very good against the dinos. He can chase down the skinks by using the taunt ability, not taunt, but the Hornswoggle, which does lower speed. He can shoot them with the pistol. So really good against skink chiefs, skink priests, pretty much all of those flying tools. And he's also really good against the ground troops. So if they have big dinos, he has tons of armor piercing if you're having a little bit of trouble getting through the Saurus. And that's what's so cool about the Deathstreak Terrorgeist variant is it's not necessarily an anti-large specialist. It's very well-rounded, and Luther Harkin really reflects that. So he is probably one of the more competitive choices here. I think Celestra is really good, and pretty much all of the lords are very good in this matchup. I would say that Aranessa is probably the weakest, even though against like dino heavy builds, he's still pretty good. But Luther Harkin here is good to go. The old boys, I like to call them. We do have a couple groups of deck droppers with the handguns, which are just MVPs against dinos. You can shoot down the big targets. You do have to watch out for Pterodon riders as well as skinks on the ground. So chameleons and those guys can tear them apart very quickly. But with this build, what I do is I bring Luther, I bring two Fellbats, and that's going to be enough to shut down Pterodon riders easy because Luther can just give them the business. And then in the meantime, while they're fighting Luther, they're going to be getting shot at by deck droppers, which is not a good situation. So very, very strong against the dinos here. Big Air Force, two Fellbats. And for the ground, we have a couple groups of the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs, two guns in the back line, Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs here in the center. We got one Rotting Promethean. Normally this build does have two, but we opted out and got the Bloated Corpses. A Vampire Fleet Captain. He does have the Drowned Dead and Invocation of Nehek, and some halberds in the back. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Excited to get some bloated corpse action. They're going to be doing some work against these Temple Guard, hopefully. And for my opponent's force, he does have three groups of the Chameleon Skinks. Definitely very, very good here. They're good at poking down the flyers. They can poke down my range units. They have missile resist. I like them quite a bit. He's got a couple groups of skink cohorts over here in the force. He has Temple Guard in the deep back, probably hiding from artillery pieces initially. Skink cohorts, and he does have something that you don't see terribly often, but I think I could have sworn, I think Indie Pride made a video on his channel talking about feral carnosaurs or something, or he's like talking about the best units for each faction. And since he made that, I've seen these quite a bit. But two feral carnosaurs here to deal with, like if I had Count Noctiluss, for example, this could actually be really scary. But, I typically go very wide against the dinos, and they'll also be very good against the Prometheans. So yeah, this is going to be fun for sure. On top of that, we have a Slan Mage Priest with the high magic, so he has the Tempest, and Apotheosis, definitely the most competitive kit here, and it looks like he's going to be dropping a Tempest on Luther, and some more Temple Guard. So very, very cool army for my opponent, very unorthodox, like Temple Guard heavy with, feral carnosaurs, and of course he does have the Cold Blood to get rid of the Rampage, which is going to be fun. Anyways, my deck droppers are going to be taking some initial pot shots here at the feral carnosaurs. Luther Harkin does get caught in a Tempest, or Arcane Unforging actually. Oh, okay, so that does some pretty good damage. Arcane Unforging does some work. Looks like the skinks are going to be rotating across the battlefield. I, of course, do have the mobility advantage. The deck droppers are shooting at the dinosaurs, but they're hiding in the trees, so I can't get a ton of, great work in here. His skink chief is being attacked by the Fellbats. The chief does have 112 speed with Slippery up, but the Fellbats are going to stick hot on his tail there and definitely cause some disruption. So I figured I'm going to go for an Alpha Strike. I was getting some free shots at the Slan Mage with Luther, but Luther is going to come in, and I'm going to be using the Hornswoggle, which is going to slow them. And the Fellbats are also really good at pinning things in place. Like, it's really hard for the skink chief to get away. The next play I'm going to be doing, I did see his Temple Guard here, and it looks like he was trying to just kind of stabilize the situation before advancing the rest of his army. And this is a pretty good tactic when you're facing shielded units. I keep one at the front, so I keep one deck dropper with handguns here. The other two are going to fly behind these Temple Guard and start shooting them in the back. So the shields only protect from the front, and a lot of people, aren't really going to notice that you're even doing this. So we're going to start getting a ton of value shooting these guys in the back. Just look at that burst of damage. On the other side of the battlefield, Luther Harkin is going to be attacking the Skink Chief. Now, a good play for my opponent. He is going to be popping a Tempest here to basically just dumpster my Fellbats and do some damage to Luther, plus the Skinks are shooting up here, so pretty good trade. But Luther hits like a truck. I'm able to terrify that Skink Chief. Very, very good Tempest, but also what's very powerful about Luther is he can chase things, and while he's chasing them, he can shoot them with his pistol, so definitely very excited to be chasing here. But alas, the Tempest does slow me in place. This guy is wavering here. He gets the Apotheosis, but I do use a pistol attack right there, and I'm going to be chasing him with the Hornswoggle, putting him down to 69 speed against my 69, because I'm poisoned, but I do get that charge acceleration. Luther Harkin is going to be coming in and buttering the bread of the Skink Chief, one of the more annoying units on the Dino roster, so I was very happy to get that thing off the battlefield here. And yeah, I mean, even if he's running, Luther has his hand cannon. He's going to keep shooting you. That is why he is so powerful. So we're going to chase him all the way off the battlefield. It is a little bit of a journey, and my opponent is going to be advancing, it looks like. As far as the deck droppers go, my strategy worked pretty well over here. I was able to just shoot down these Temple Guard, bring them down to 40% by shooting them in the back, mitigating their shield, which was definitely very good because that's one of his more expensive units. Now, he does have Apotheosis, can get some healing, but they lost quite a few models, like 20 plus models. Definitely very good. So the rest of my force just kind of hanging tight. We're both kind of trading in the skirmishes. He killed my Fellbats, which, was fine. It was to be expected. But I got a Skink Chief. I got a Temple Guard down to half health. And yeah, I definitely think I came out a little bit ahead in that trade there. However, Luther did take a bit of work, and he also is being occupied off the battlefield while my opponent's main army advances. So in the meantime, the deck droppers with handguns, I'm just going to be positioning them to shoot at the Feral Carnosaurs who are going to be bum rushing out. Now, my opponent does have the Cold Blood, but now he only has one charge, so he only has one way to really get rid of that. I accidentally use a volley here on these skinks, which is not a good idea, but I will be switching on to the dinosaurs here in just a moment. The bloated corpses, I had a feeling he was going to come after me with the dinos and go after the corpses. So in a moment, I will be grabbing the bloated corpses and falling back. And now you can see all my firepower is going onto the feral dinosaur, and I do rampage it immediately. So this guy's going to be forced into the front line against my deckhand mobs, who are also going to be fighting skinks. And yeah, he's just kind of getting blasted by the deck droppers and the handgunners. And the other one, I will be using my crabs to pin down. Now, he's very good against the crabs, but I'm hoping to kind of just hold him in place and keep him from doing a lot of damage to my back line. Bloated corpses in the meantime, I'm doing a bit of a tactical retreat here. Looks like this feral carnosaur is actually broken off. The cold blood does stop his rampage, but he's just getting gunned down regardless. So he's not going to be too much work. I actually think I end up chasing him off the battlefield or something. Luther Harkin is also on his way back from chasing off that Skink Chief. And the Orange Sherbet Salon is going to be hiding in the forest, which isn't a bad idea. And it looks like the Temple Guard are coming in, and big angry dinosaurs are going to be slam dunking a couple of my gunnery mobs, which is fine. That's what's so good about gunnery mobs, is they don't break. They're just going to sit there and tank it and actually maybe even do a little bit of poking back. And the deck droppers, even though there are skinks to counter them, what you then do is just take a look at the battlefield and kind of the positioning, right? The Skink Chiefs are a ground unit. Just think about it. What's the advantage you have? I fly. He can't push through my front line if I still have deckhand mobs fighting. So I simply fall back with the deck droppers. And from there, I can get free shooting at the Carnosaurs because of my good range. And the skinks aren't going to be able to do any counterplay. That's why Pterodon Riders, I think, are a little bit more necessary. So this bloated corpse is going to be going up and around. The other bloated corpse is going in for the kill. And here he goes. The dive and the bomb. And they're at 71 models. And definitely does some okay damage. Wasn't the best situation, but at least I did get some damage on them. And it looks really cool for sure, but definitely not worth the 500 gold that I paid for those guys, but it still just looks super gangster. The other bloated corpse is going to be coming around the side. I thought that if my opponent wasn't paying attention, I could get the chameleon skinks. Now, I just wanted to do that for you guys to do something entertaining. Normally, I would probably just go after like these Temple Guard in the back, but I wanted to try and get some really funny, explosions back there. Banishment from my opponent's going down, but Luther Harkin is now back in the battlefield. He's going to be going after the Orange Sherbet Salon, all hands hoy being popped, and yeah, we were able to power siphon him and hornswoggle him, so we're going to get some good damage, at the very least lower his, or add to his cooldowns here. But he does have all the skinks. It looks like he's going to be pouring into melee to apply that poison, which is going to help heal. And here's where the bloated corpse is going to come in. Another Tempest going down, which does crumble one of my deck gunners there. Or not deck gunners, my deck droppers. And the other feral dinosaur is now forced off because it did rampage into some halberds here. My zombie pirate gunnery mobs are going to be falling back to reform my rank. So even if he does break through my front line, I want to create more separation there and force him to kind of have to run a little bit further into my gun line. So these Temple Guard here are getting shot in the back by the deck droppers again, so that's going to be pretty efficient. And over here, unfortunately, the bloated corpse, I wanted to get something like right in the middle of all these skinks and see how much damage I could do, but my opponent did notice, and he shouldn't blow up that easily. Like, he should have to get like really low, but I get in there, I mean, kinda. It does no damage, really. I mean, I might have gotten like 1 or 2 skinks, so I was really disappointed about that. I really think they should change the mechanics of the bloated corpse so that the player has control over detonation. That would be really fun. Just imagine like playing and just like having your finger on the button, but the HP is also a factor, right? They have 1,000 HP. Your opponent could snipe them out or block them with a high mass unit. It still has plenty of counterplay, but I think that would be so much more fun. Anyways, in the back here, Luther Harkin is going to be chasing down the Orange Sherbet Salon, who does have the shield of the old ones and Apotheosis, but Luther is shooting him in the back. Terrorgeist is chasing. I also pull my Rotting Prometheans to try and get up and around the Salon and pin him in place, just so he can't get away. But a big angry T-Rex comes out of the forest. We do have a feral Carnosaur who's going to be able to hurt Luther. Luther actually takes a massive hit right there, and he's also taking this focus fire from the skinks, who I was chasing with some zombie pirate deckhand mobs, trying my best to kind of deal with him. But yeah, Luther Harkin in a little bit of a dangerous situation. The crabs are doing some work against the Carnosaur, but yeah, that's still very, very scary, right? In the back line, it's going pretty well. The Temple Guard are able to get back on some of my guns here, but I did summon some zombie pirate gunnery mobs with my Vampire Caster, just shooting at the Temple Guard. Balance of power is pretty even, maybe slightly in my favor here. And my Vampire Caster, the fleet captain, is going to be moving forward and causing some problems, hopefully. And the deck droppers with handguns are just shooting at the feral Carnosaur, trying to put him down. Luther Harkin actually took a massive beating, so I have to use Invocation of Heck and All Hands Hoy and pull him back. And I do have my Death Streak Breaths, so I'm going to be using the Death Streak attack here on the feral Carnosaur in just a moment here. He's definitely in the wrong neighborhood. Luther Harkin not having any of his shit, and this dinosaur is going to be sent off to the Shadow Realm where he belongs. Down he goes, Jurassic Park Extinction Edition. So right here you can see that the Rotting Prometheans and the Deckhand mobs are going to be advancing. Now the Orange Sherbet Slan doesn't have a big T-Rex to protect him anymore, so he should be able to kind of pressure him. A very good Tempest from my opponent here. He's able to hit the deck droppers, actually both of them, so it's probably going to crumble both those guys, which is, that's why High Magic is so damn good against these guys. Temple Guard right here, fighting in the back line, helping out against the Zombie Pirate Gunnery mobs, and yeah, I mean, it looks like they're probably going to die just to the focus fire of these other Gunnery mobs here. He does have a fairly healthy group of Temple Guard here on the far side, 62 models as well, who could potentially come back here and cause a lot of problems. They'll be able to deal with the Prometheans and a lot of my infantry, so, and he still has a ton of skinks, right? Luther Harkin is going to be going in, though, just taking some pot shots at the Slan. I will be engaging in melee here. The crabs, of course, still pressuring. And crabs are also very good magnets for the skinks because they have like 120 armor and are very, very durable. But deck droppers are pretty much offline. These ones are crumbling. They have 10 models, but that's going to be rapidly decreasing. The other ones have 8 models, and they're going to be going down as well. So the bounce power, again, pretty much the same as it has been for the past couple minutes, relatively even. The last of these Temple Guard, who did finish off my guns, are also going down to the focus fire of my gunnery mobs. And some skinks are going back here to help out as well and kind of cause some disruption. But Luther Harkin is coming for that Slan booty. He's going to be on the hunt. Hornswoggle and Taunt. He's coming for them lizard trinkets. He wants them. And yeah, he's able to get the Slan Mage Priest pretty low. He's broken. He's terrified. He's going to be getting shot in the back. Oh, man, he just got no-scoped by Luther Harkin. Luther must have closed his eyes and just kind of shot blindly there and just domed him. But yeah, man, that was a great shot with his blunderbuss. And man, Luther Harkin is such a powerful lord. It's so much fun to use him. The skinks are going to be kiting back in the forest against these Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs. Going to be causing some problems for sure, poking my guys down. But again, I have Luther Harkin. You know, I still have some guns here in the back that are in pretty good shape. My Vampire Fleet Captain is healthy. He's able to summon some of these Zomb Pirates right here to kind of muck up the Temple Guard. And guys, you know, my opponent does not have the aquatics. I am in the water. These guys are aquatic, the Zombie Pirate Deckhand mobs. So I'm not going to be suffering that penalty that they do for fighting in water. And I wonder if it'll show us right now if we like mouse over. I know there's a button you can hit, but anyways, the Temple Guard are going to be going down, and at this point, my opponent's pretty much going to get slapped with army losses, as Luther Harkin's going to come over here and break these guys, and that's going to be all she wrote. So well played to my opponent. It was a super fun game. Definitely a cool build. If I had gone with like Necrofex Colossus, I think the dinos would have been a little bit stronger, but based on the width of my build, and of course having Luther and the deck droppers to kind of just shoot them with impunity, I don't think that they were too effective of a pick there. But yeah, the Bloated Corpses, again, didn't pay for themselves too much. 3 and 6. One of them did a little bit of damage. I should have ran more square on and had been more patient, but I was just trying to get in before my opponent was able to disrupt them. The other one I obviously memed a little bit with. I was trying to get it into the skinks for you guys, and it just didn't work out. So, but alas, the build is pretty much the exact same as the build from my guide, which will be coming out in the next couple days, probably 3 or 4 days from now. And yeah, you just use the Rotting Prometheans. You use 2 of them and just kind of dominate the skies, shoot at the high value targets. Use Luther to take out enemy lords. It's pretty powerful for sure. So yeah, as far as my opponent's build, I love the High Mage Slan. I think that's really good. I think that standard swords are much more effective in this matchup because they just monster mash the front line. Yes, the Prometheans are a little bit tricky, but and also Pterodon Riders are pretty good. Although this build, I was kind of accounting for Pterodon Riders. But if you have the Tempest plus the Pterodon Riders, you can usually win the skies because you just Tempest down their deck droppers. You know, the Pterodon Riders are able to kind of do some good work from there. So on that note, let's see, what else does he have here? He does have the Chameleons, which are pretty good because they have the tools against the range, but I don't feel like they did too much. But yeah, it was definitely a solid build. I mean, there's a couple moments where if the T-Rexes had been held back maybe a little bit longer instead of charging in that aggressively, they could have like counter-striked Luther. Like maybe if they just protected the Slan, they would have paid for themselves a little bit better. So anyways, well played to my opponent, Theon. Let's go ahead and take a look at my Lizardmen build that I like to bring against the Vampire Coast. Hopefully it'll be helpful if you guys run into something similar like this. So we're going to jump out here and we're going to take a look. Sorry, I just drank a big cup of coffee and it's like makes my voice a little bit scratchy. I think caffeine in general actually restricts your vocal cords. But where is this? Lizardmen, and yes, the Orange Sherbet Slan is really good. You can go with Crocky G too. They're both very powerful picks. You just need to protect them, of course, if you're going with the Slan. So yeah, I think that's a pretty solid pick, just these two. I mean, Arcane and Forging is pretty good as well, but you can even just go with those. But we'll just bring Arcane and Forging for the sake of it. If they do go with like a Celestra, who's also very good against the dinos, the Arcane and Forging is really good. Blood Statue of Spite is very, very strong. I'm sure he brought it. I didn't get a chance to see, but it's very good at killing like infantry and things like that. So the Slan Mage Priest is solid, and aside from that, I like to just go like super heavy with swords. Just bring like 6 of them. These guys are going to bully the front line. They have shields. They're very, very tough to kill, and they're a pretty sticky unit, right? So on top of that, a couple Pterodon Riders. So honestly, I like to go with like up to 4 of those guys. I mean, they're going to be able to help deal with Fellbats. They can shoot while moving, and yeah, they're pretty good, but my build I brought just now would actually be good against them if there was no Tempest. But if you're able to Tempest things down and then kind of, do the business with them, they can usually kite Luther, they can dominate the skies, and worst case scenario, you can use them to dive against guns and different things like that. So that's going to be the main force right here. On top of that, we want to get a couple like skink cohorts probably. We'll just get 2 of those on the flanks to kind of pressure. And you do want some spears as well. Coldland Spear Riders actually aren't a bad idea. Like you can get like 1 or 2 of those guys just to kind of deal with large targets. And a Rev Crystal is something to think about, but yeah, I would probably go with like 2 Coldland Spear Riders and just keep them in reserve. And once the guns are compromised, you send them out because you push in with the Saurus, you play that grindy fight, and once you're able to kind of put some pressure on their guns, you then pull out the Coldland Spear Riders, or if they have like Luther Harkin or, for example, Prometheans kind of pressuring you, the Coldland Spear Riders can usually counter those targets pretty efficiently. On top of that, you can probably go with a Skink Chief or something. I feel like he's still a pretty good pick, like especially if you're having like a big, massive goon squad. So something like this is pretty good. Like just Saurus in the front, Coldland Spear Riders to deal with large. You have a pretty powerful Air Force with the support of a Slan Mage Priest with high magic. And I think that it could do pretty well against the build I just brought. So again, very well played in my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this this Vampire Coast vs Dino Lizard Trinket Showdown. We will see you guys next time.